Hi, my name is Prasanna, and this is my first ever attempt at making a booktube video. I have been an avid reader ever since I was 5 years old, and recently I've also become a published author. So, books are a rather big part of my life. Um, but yeah, more about that later. Right now, first, I would like to introduce you all to my lovely sidekick who just decided that she wanted to be the star of this show. Please meet Maggie, everybody who refuses to leave my side and also refuses to let me shoot properly. But guess what? This is what this video is going to be all about, and this is what this channel is going to be all about. So, welcome everyone to Enchanting Tales. I am hoping to talk about books that I love, books that I don't love, books that are amazing, books that are crazy, books that teach us, and everything else about books. Since this is my first video, I thought I would introduce myself to you through my favorite books that I have read over the years and that I think are absolutely phenomenal. And basically, these are the books that I recommend to anybody and everybody. And they also happen to be the books that I like to gift people a lot. So here's the list. The first on my list is Elegance of the Hedgehog. And anybody who knows me knows that I talk about this book all the time. It's not because I'm obsessed with the book, which I am in a way, but also because this book is really, really fantastic. It's a very simple story. It has three key characters, and it's just about how they interact with each other and what happens. But the way these characters have been woven together are extremely, extremely beautiful. So one of the key characters is this lady called Renee, who's 50 something, who's the concierge of an apartment building in Paris. And she's somebody who likes to live her life quietly. She does not like people intruding into her life. And she's okay with people making whatever assumptions they want to make about her. But at the same time, she's somebody who absolutely enjoys the arts, loves to read, is constantly exploring beautiful books and amazing movies and all of that. So she's extremely intelligent, but she does not like to show that out to the world. At the same time, there's another character who's this 13-year-old girl who lives in that apartment building, is the daughter of one of the tenants, and she's this extremely, precocious young 13-year-old, way wiser beyond her years. And the thing is that it's really exciting that somehow their paths cross, and then what happens? And then, as they are sort of building an interesting kind of friendship, there is a third, very enigmatic character that enters their life, and then how this three-way friendship works. It's a very simple, sweet story, and it's written so beautifully. It was originally written in French. I have not read it in French, but I have read it in English, and it's amazing. But yes, there is also a French movie that was made on this book. So do check it out. It's an amazing, amazing book. The second book on my list is Snowflower the Secret Fan by Lisa C. This is a very, very interesting book that I just happened upon and on one of the random book sales that I keep going to. This is a story that's set in China and in an era when they used to bind the feet of young women, etc. It's a story about these two friends who were put together and they were brought up together. And there are some very interesting concepts about the Chinese culture that are explored in this book. But what really stayed with me is how women's lives have always been sort of ignored in a lot of literature, especially the secret lives of women. And when I say secret lives of women, we're talking about how women interact with each other, what kind of stories they tell each other, what kind of relationships they build with each other, the friendships they cultivate, and how these friendships are sometimes friendships for life. And what happens when circumstances change, when their relationships change, when life changes, when life takes them on different paths, how do these friendships, do they endure or do they break? It's a very, very interesting book around that. And it also explores the concept of, or rather the um, a very interesting idea called Nushu. Nushu is basically a language, a women's language that was prevalent in China, which only women knew. And it was something that mothers would teach their daughters, and sisters would teach sisters, and so on and so forth. And how women used Nushu to interact with each other. And because this was a women's language, how everything in this language is centered around things that would appeal to women. So it could be more about how to keep the house, or how to look after children, and concepts such as these. And it's so fascinating that this is an actual thing that existed. And unfortunately, over the years, over the decades, this is now a lost art. But I think, if I'm correct, I read somewhere that they're trying to revive this language again. So yeah, in this particular book, you find out about how these two friends who've been brought up together, how after a point when they get married and they go their separate ways, um, how they use a fan which they embroider using Nushu, and how they send it back and forth to exchange messages and stories about their lives. It's a really beautiful book. And coincidentally, this also has been turned into a movie. So I'll try and link as many of these links to trailers, movies, etc., in the description below. Okay, the next book on my list is The Secret Lives of People in Love. This is a book by an author called Simon Van Boy, and this is a collection of short stories. Needless to say, I mean, the title is self explanatory. It's a collection of love stories. But when I say love stories, they're not your typical love stories. These are, think of them as more stories about relationships between people. And Simon Van Boy explores different kinds of relationships and different kinds of loves, for that matter. The reason why this book is on my list is because I adore this author. He has a way of using the simplest of words but crafting the most devastatingly beautiful sentences that I have ever read. Um, which is why it usually takes me a very long time to get through his books. I mean, this is a fairly thin book, but it took me almost a month to get through this book. Not because it was boring or it was difficult, no. It was because every sentence is extremely beautiful, and after reading every sentence, I was just sit and sigh and like think about it, and that was just the most amazing thing about it. So yeah, this book is a must read for anybody who loves beautiful writing. And for that matter, check out other books by Simon Van Boy as well. There's a book called Everything Beautiful Began After. Then there's Love Begins in Winter. So there's some really, really solid writing there. Do check it out. Okay, now this brings me to what I am reading currently. I'm reading a book called Neverworld Wake. This is by an author called Marisha Pessel. Now, Neverworld Wake is, I would vaguely like to describe it as dark academia adjacent. The reason being, there's a bunch of friends who are put together in this crazy old mansion kind of a thing, and then some crazy stuff happens to them. They are caught in a neverworld wake where they find themselves repeating the same day over and over again. And at the heart of it is also a mystery where one of their friends had passed away, and they thought that he had died of natural causes, but then they realized that no, there was something mysterious about his death. And how at the end of this neverworld wake is when we discover what the truth is going to be. So I'm quite excited about this one. And the reason why I picked up this book is because I've read another book by this author, and that book I feel is a must read for everyone who loves dark mysteries. The book that I'm talking about is Night Film. Night Film is by far one of the most fascinating books that I've read, mystery books. It is nothing like anything out there. Uh, yes, there is, a girl who has died. Yes, there is a detective trying to, find the truth behind it. There is a reclusive film director who has shut himself in his massive estate, and everything sort of keeps pointing to him when it comes to finding out, why this girl has died. But there's something sinister going on, and you're unable to put your finger on it. um, what is so fascinating about this book is the fact that it is a really dark world that Marisha Pessel has created. When you're reading, you feel that eeriness. And for an author to be able to create that, I think is that's a superpower to have. So if nothing, just for that, check this book out. It will completely change the way you look at mysteries. It's not fast paced. It takes a while to get into, and it takes a while for the book to sort of unravel. And at some points, you may even feel that what exactly is this book all about. But yeah, at the end of it, it is a very, very satisfying book to read. So do check it out. So this is my first ever book that I've written. It's called Love Under the Spotlight. It's available on Amazon, on Flipkart. I'll put the links down below. What this book is about, it's a love story. It's an enemies to lovers college romance. But there's a bit of Bollywood in it. There's a bit of paparazzi in it. There's a bit of drama in it, and of course there's a lot of romance in it. So yeah, I mean, it would be great if you would check it out. I'd be really happy if you let me know in the comments once you've read what do you think about it. All right, so that was my list of absolute favorite books. What I intend to do on this channel, hopefully every week, is talk about the books that I love and introduce you all to the books that I'm reading. Some new, some I believe would be books that you'd be familiar with. But I want to use this channel really to create a community of readers who love reading just for the sake of reading. I mean, I'm somebody who really, really enjoys reading, and if there is something very interesting, I don't mind going to great lengths to actually find it out. Like, for example, when I was in college, I read a poem by Pablo Neruda as part of my literature class. Of course, I read it in English, but I thought that poem was extremely beautiful, and then I was desperate to read it in its original Spanish. So naturally, I went ahead and studied Spanish. And yes, then I read it in Spanish. So that's the kind of reader that I am. I'm very passionate about the books and words. And that is also what led me to become an author. So yeah, that's what I am going to be doing on this channel. I'm going to be exploring new books. I'm going to be exploring new writers, the way they write, talk about themes, talk about genres, talk about movies based on books, and everything else that comes with the world of books. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please do like, share, subscribe, and comment and let me know what you think about it. If there's anything you want me to talk about, if there's anything you think I should do differently, if you want to see more of Maggie, who of course decided to leave me after the first act. But yeah, I am here. I'm your reader and writer to sort of take you through this wonderful world of books. Thank you.